All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99. I'm back with another video. All right, y'all, back with some quick news, but some good news. Good news. Y'all know I'm a bit hyped over here right now because y'all know the good news. Y'all can see it right here. We got a new addition to the UFC women's flyweight division, and her name is Tereza Bleda. That's right. The UFC, they went back and signed Tereza Bleda to the UFC. Good news, y'all. I mean, they had to do this. They just had to do this. Let me just go ahead and say they had to do this. They were missing an opportunity the first time when she was on the Contender Series. They had to go back and sign her. And I feel like Dana White went back and watched the fight, went back and watched the tape and said, you know what? I made a big mistake. I got to get this girl in here because look at what she's bringing to the table. I know Tereza Bleda didn't score a stoppage, but if you go back and look at her fight, it was a dominant win. You know, she said she was going to go in there and do what she did, and she did it. You know, she went in there and scored a dominant win. And like I said, that's what the UFC women's flyweight division needs. Like, you just don't need blood and guts fighters. You don't need fighters that's going to go in there toe-to-toe all the time. You know, you don't need the catch wearers all the time. You need fighters that want to go in there and just dominate, right? And I think a fighter like Tereza Bleda is bringing that type of element to the game, just like, you know, some of these other fighters that work their way up, like, you know, Manones and Tyler Santos, and, of course, the champion, right? You need these type of fighters that are going to actually be legit contenders for the belt. You know, not just fight of the night fighters. You need fighter of the year type fighters. And I feel like Tereza Bleda is working towards that. So my thoughts on them signing her. First off, I got to say this. I know a lot of the people on my channel will disagree. They're going to, you know, be a little cynic and say, oh, you know, they probably didn't hear you. They probably just signed her for some other reasons. But I like to think that they hear my videos. You know, I don't just do these videos just to hear myself talk. I do them for y'all, but I also just do them because I want everybody to hear them, you know, and hear my thoughts on what should be happening in the women's flyweight division or WMMA period. You know what I mean? I just don't do these videos just to hear myself talk. You know, I actually would do them because I think, you know, they do make a difference to a certain extent. Like when I do videos about the matchmaking Mondays, I'd like to think that, you know, the UFC does listen because they have to go straight to the source sometimes of where their WMMA fans are, right? And WMMA fans isn't something like as big and as global as like boxing. You know what I mean? Like boxing, the sport is so big and, you know, there's so many hands in it. That's why, you know, they can just go wherever they want and, you know, just understand how to make matches and what makes money. But with WMMA, you really have to touch the fans here. And where do you have to go for that? You have to go to YouTube, basically. You know what I mean? Sometimes Twitter, IG, but the biggest WMMA fans are on YouTube because that's where they break fights down and that's where they have live streams and discussions like myself, right? So I like to think that when I talk about Tereza Bleda and why Dana White made a bad move by not signing her, that they went back and thought about it and said, you know what? This fighter does bring a lot to the table. You know, I also know that her training with Manone definitely put her on the map a little bit too. You know, that's definitely promotion as well, you know, because they see this girl in here getting in work with a future contender, right? So that also helps. But, you know, whenever we get on here and talk, when I get on here and talk and big a fighter up and just break them down, you know, I like to think that helps, you know, because like I said, Tereza Bleda, she may be young, but she's got something about her that is different than some of these other fighters they sign. You know, some fighters are just fighters that, you know, are like fillers in the division. You know, no disrespect, but I think Tereza Bleda is a fighter that's going for top 10 and eventually top 5. And eventually, you know, she's going to fight for the title. You know, I can see that in her. You know, of course, there could be a hiccup somewhere, you know, along the way that could slow a fighter down. But I think that she has her stuff together because she's just that type of, you know, fighter that really likes to improve, you know. And I mean, at 20 years old, you just don't get signed to the UFC. You know what I mean? You got to be something special, especially with this record, you know, especially for me to do a video about, you know, I think you have to be something special. And I think that she offers a lot right now, you know. So with her being 20, I don't think that should be like, you know, a reason to stop her and say, oh, she's too young. Well, no, because, you know, she advanced. You know, she made sure she could advance so she could skip some of those steps. She wanted to be better than some of the older fighters so she could step over them and get to where she wants to be at an early age, right? Even like Erin Blanchfield. Y'all got to remember, Erin Blanchfield, you know, she was like 18 in Invicta. You know, she's only 22 now. So same with her, you know, she was always improving. So along the way, she could advance and, you know, and skip some steps, just like in school. Like I'm always bringing up school. Like some kids don't need to be held back just because of their age. they're allowed to advance if their minds are more advanced than the students they're around, right? No matter how old they are. I think they're allowed to advance, because you're holding them back. And I think Tereza Bleda, she went undefeated as an amateur, of course, and going undefeated, throughout the underground circuit, through Octagon, and putting on a dominant performance with Contender Series has earned her a chance, especially when you think about some of the fighters they have signed to the flyweight division. Some straw weights that didn't need to be in the flyweight division. You got to consider and say, oh, man, like, this girl's actually bringing something to the table. She's just not another body we're going to sacrifice, right? You actually got somebody here that's legit and can grow, right? So with that being said, of course, I know she's not ready for the title yet. I just think that, she's bringing a lot to the table, so start her off like you do all the other girls, get her in there, get some unranked fighters, maybe about 3 or 4 of them before she challenges for a top 15. Because, yeah, she's still 20. So, it could be some jitters in there when she get in there with some UFC level fighters. So, give her a Jasmine, Jazzy Vicious, let her start off on that level. Then maybe a Natalia Silva. Then maybe a, Gatto and a Jillian Robertson or a JJ Aldridge. Get a nice little 3 or 4 fight win streak over some unranked fighters first, and just see how that plays out. And if she goes in there dominating and, finishing these girls, or 30-27 in these girls, then that's going to definitely say, okay, she's ready for a top 15 now. Let's get her in there and start getting her to work, right? So, yeah, man, I think this is a good sign right here. No need to rush her up to the top 15. She could still grow and improve against the level of fighters that are there now in the unranked part of the flyweight division. So that's what I want to see first with her being signed. So, yeah, shout out to Tereza Bleda. She got that contract. She's now a UFC flyweight. What y'all think, guys? Let me know. Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.